Back again, part 2, episode 31. Is that it, guys? 31. Man, it's good to be here with you guys today. We got a long day coming today. We're going to talk about the AFC West, but before we do that, the greatest 31s ever. You had some really good ones last the part 1 teach. I'm going to give you one. I just want to give you one. Dave Winfield. Can you guys tell me a what is something about Dave Winfield that is even before his professional career started? What's something that stands out over everybody else?
I got you there. Like Aaron Judge and many athletes today, he was a 2-sport star. I think he was a 3-sport star: basketball, baseball, which he ended up playing professionally, and football.
So Winfield was drafted by all 3 major American sports: baseball, football, and basketball.
Great stamp,
Pretty crazy,
Todd.
right?
Great stamp, Godfather.
Pretty crazy.
That's
so I wanted to
awesome.
throw that out there. 31, part 2, AFC West edition. Another something really cool going on right now is Happy Father's Day to you, Teach. Happy Father's Day to you, Coach. It is the week of the father. Probably the laziest holiday in all of America, but I celebrate you two today. Anything you guys want to say about Father's Day? You have anything for us?
Yeah, I got something, guys. I got something. You guys ready? There's a new movie coming out. Ready? It's called Constipation. You guys seen it or heard of it? No? That's because it never came out.
Jeez.
It's my dad joke of the year. I had to go with it. Father's Day. Had to throw it up there. It is what it is.
I got a lot of work to bring. Part 2 back.
That was a crappy joke, man. That was a crappy joke.
Yeah, I would rate that number. I would rate that number 2 on the list of things to do today. AFC West conversation, and then your dad joke. Okay. Yeah, you guys ready? So last week, just to recap really quick, last week we went over the AFC East. Okay, and just so you know, the Bills finished the highest in the Podfather projection for the AFC East. 10.5 was where they were rated at on DK. I went a little above that. Okay, so I had the Bills winning the AFC East. Are you guys excited to find out who's going to win the AFC West before the season even starts?
It's an easy question. Yes, but you
are excited. So here's what I wanted to give you a few things to kind of spot it up for you. I want to tee it up, okay, in golf terms. I want to tee this up for you guys on the AFC West. So last week, Teach, you came with a really neat stat, and you said, man, the AFC East, the cool thing about them is all 4 teams finished in the top 10 of toughest schedule in the NFL on paper before the season starts. Running parallel, the AFC West, all 4 teams are in the top 10 of hardest schedule on paper before the NFL season starts. And so we've got a lot of good stuff to go over today, but I wanted to bring that in. So the AFC East, just a caveat for you guys, each play one opponent from the AFC North this year, AFC South, and the best division in football, the NFC Beast. Okay, which is really, 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 really cool. I was trying to figure out, like, where should we start the AFC West conversation at? I think we have to start Chiefs.
Okay.
I think we have to start Kansas City. We have to do that for Coach. We have to do that for the fans. And we have to pay homage to the defending Super Bowl champions.
Super Bowl champs.
But we have to, okay? So with the Kansas City Chiefs, I think the recipe remains the same. It stays. There's 2 names that are going to be completely relevant for the Chiefs all year. Those 2 names are Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. That's my opinion. Give me your thoughts really quick. Kansas City, before we start, Teach on their most relevant thing from the offseason.
Yeah, I think for me is, can they stay hungry? Like all professional athletes, it seems in football, it's very different from other sports. The setup for dynasties is a little different. Football, it's a lot more tweaking than in basketball or in baseball. I think it's harder to build a dynasty in football than any other sport. And can Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid stay hungry? Um, Again, and the big thing is going to be the defense. This reminds me of, it's a different version of the Peyton Manning Colts. Like, hey, can the defense do enough to where Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and whatever other seventh round pick that they get in there to play wide receiver, running back, or guard can put up numbers? So to me, that's what I looked at. Like
And
when
we'll
I saw
see.
it.
And coach, for you, is this the year where we all say he's on Mount Rushmore already? Does he do something crazy spectacular?
So driving down Mount Rushmore, or Goat Street, as I like to say, if he's driving down Goat Street, he has to continue to bring it every year. There's no way you're catching those greats without you doing it every single year. And we can't say we could say he's on Mount Rushmore maybe by the end of this year. If he goes off, wins MVP, Super Bowl MVP, they do it again, back to back. His resume will start to get really, 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 really colorful. And at that point, um, it's going to be hard to say he's not. So yeah, I think this could be the year that he does all the way. I don't think he'll win MVP, but I don't think he's trying to win MVP. I think he's trying to win another Super Bowl, because at the end of the day, it's all about the rings, and that's what they go for.
All
Is
right.
is he on your Mount Rushmore already, Coach? Because I know, I mean, out of the three of us, you are the Pat Mahomes kind of. That's your guy. So last year you were saying he's almost on that same level as Tom Brady. Are you softening on Pat Mahomes?
No, I'm not softening. I just think it will help to have a couple more seasons, not even of Super Bowl MVP stuff. I'm just talking about deep run playoffs, and then he'll be on the Mount Rushmore. Now, when I'm talking about GOAT, he needs more chips, more MVPs, more. He needs more everything. He's got to go, but he's driving down Easy Street right now. I mean, he's the only candidate I think in the NFL that has a chance to be in the conversation, and the chance that he has is a good one. He's got a nice Prius. His gas mileage good. Tanks filled. He's driving right down. There's no potholes, no speed bumps to mess up anything on the car. He's just driving down Easy Street.
Compared Pat Mahomes to a Prius, get out of here.
Let's get started. This is got. I mean, an EV, is that what Patrick Mahomes is? An
It's a combo car. I put gas in it. Calm down.
Unbelievable. Okay, so listen. Chiefs. Few things to start them out. Last year, Chiefs finished 14-3. Of course, Super Bowl champs. DraftKings this year has them at 11.5. Where do you guys have them? Teach.
I had them, so I did my homework, like since Podfather and Podfather's predictions threw us these, hey, AFC West. So I started looking at the schedule. I have them 12-5. I think it's an over for DraftKings. I think it's, again, can they fix that defense? I put my faith in Andy Reid and roster building.
Coach?
Yeah, I'm in the same thing. I think they're going to finish about 12-5. Could they go 13-4? Could they go 11-6? Yeah, I think that's just the difference in a win or loss here or there, depending on the injury on the offensive line. Anything could happen in the NFL, but 12-5 was the one that I was predicting.
Both of you, almost there. You almost got it right. Now, I looked into the ball. I did my homework. Dreamed about it a little bit. Here's what's going to happen. This is how it plays out. And I'm just going to give you their schedule really quick. I'm not going to go over game by game, okay? But I want to pick out a couple from home and a couple away that are going to be really good games. So the Chiefs at home this year, Broncos, I think, is a really interesting game, and they open up at home in Denver. I think that's really, really good game, okay? That's their first home game this year. They also have the Bills at home. That's tough, okay? And they have the Bengals and Eagles at home. So Broncos, Chargers, Bills, Bengals, Eagles, all in Kansas City. But those are really tough. In a way, of course, they have the Broncos, but they're getting Away, they're getting the Vikings, the Patriots, the Jets, the Jaguars. So not as tough a schedule away, okay? But their home schedule is really tough. And the Podfather prediction for the Kansas City Chiefs, based on their schedule, okay, based on where I have them, I'm going to take the under on DraftKings, and I had them finishing at 11-6. 11-6, okay? And I'm not going to tell you whether that's winning the division or not yet until we go through the rest of the teams. But the Chiefs finish at 11-6. I think the storyline here, of course, is Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. They lost their best receiver, no Juju. Is that going to be a Juju against them? I don't know. We'll see. They still have Travis Kelce, right? Best tight end in the NFL. So we're going to see where we're at.
That's super smart. That is super smart because, I mean, the Super Bowl hangover is real. So
it is.
11.5, yeah, I think it'd be hard for them to get 12 wins. You're probably right.
Yeah, I love that. And so 11-6, appreciate that. That's where we start out in the AFC West. Mark it down. If you guys, please let us know your thoughts, but pop out a prediction, 11-6. Coach and Teach both agree. They know I'm right. So let's move on to the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos, who I think last week the Jets had the best storyline for the AFC East. This week, I think the Broncos are probably the most legit storyline in the AFC West. Here's why. Give me one name. It's Peyton. And I'm not talking Peyton Manning this time, okay? Peyton Manning took not Peyton Pritchard, not Peyton Manning, okay? This is Sean Payton. Even more than Sean Payton, I want to see how this pairing of Sean Payton and Russell Wilson really works. Okay? I want to see what that's like. Will it be a better marriage than Russell and Pete Carroll? I don't know. You know, Pete should have ran the ball. We do know that. He should have ran the ball. Sean Payton's going to make the decision to run the ball. We know that, right? And so I'm really interested in the Broncos. So just to set you guys up before I ask you, last year they finished at 5-12. Super disappointing. As a matter of fact, last year going into January with our podcast, I was all over Denver. Love Denver. I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to turn it around. Denver's going to be that team. I think this year goes much better, but 5-12 last year, disappointing. But here's the question. Did Hackett even know how to coach, or was he just hacking at it? Was he coaching the same that coach plays golf? Was it a Hackett session? I don't know. I'm not sure. We still finished second place. Thank you, Teach, for taking 3 shots a hole. But you know, it is what it is. So biggest questions for you guys, or biggest thing from you guys with the Denver Broncos going into next year. We'll start with you, Teach.
Well, yeah, I don't think Nathaniel could hack it. I think some people are just built to be offensive coordinators. He's one of them. My big kind of takeaway for Denver is kind of adjacent. They already tried to move one of their wide receivers. They already said Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, or KJ Hamler is going to be on the market. So are they still interested in that? And then what does Javonte Williams look like? I mean, you alluded to it. Hey, running the ball is very important. What does Javonte Williams look like after that successful knee surgery? So I think if he can run the ball, that does change it. Are they going to win 5 games? No, I think they're going to be better than that. I think you're absolutely right.
Coach?
I think they'll struggle at the beginning of the season. I think they're going to have some bumps and bruises. And I think, Wilson and Peyton will get on the same page. And I think that they'll end up having a very successful season. I think they have too many offensive weapons. I believe in Russell Wilson. I think he was injured all last year. I don't think there was nothing anybody could do about a ton of that. Hackett, I don't think he was the best coach. He didn't seem to be a locker room fit. The guys just didn't trust him. They didn't trust his ability to manage the whole team and see the whole field like he did as an offensive coordinator, because he was really decent as an offensive coordinator. But again, I think they're going to finish better than what DraftKings has it. I think 10, 11 wins would be my range for them. I think they're going to be a very hard team to beat. Denver's a tough place to play. And I think that they're going to bring everything back. I believe in Russell Wilson. I've seen him do it too many times for me not to.
So you mentioned DraftKings. I'll throw it out there. DraftKings has them at 8.5. So Coach already said he's going to take the over. Teach, what do you have?
So I think they shock everyone and beat the Chiefs week 1. I think they end up winning more than last year. I think they go 9-8. But I think they do beat the Chiefs at home, opening night, Thursday night. It's always a weird thing with football. Nobody ever expects who's going to win. So I'm going to say that the Broncos go 9-8 and beat the Chiefs in the first game.
Good predictions. Love that. Both of you are very close. I'm going to give you the right answer now. Okay. So, but I love where your minds are at and where you're at. So, a couple games I want to point out for the Denver Broncos at home. The big home opener. You're absolutely right. Kansas City Chiefs. That's a tough. That's going to be the big one for the Broncos. But here's their other home opponents. Right? Chargers, Raiders, Patriots, Jets, Packers, Vikings, Browns. At home, playing at that altitude. That's not a bad schedule. Okay, but their road schedule, I think it's a little harder. Bears, Lions, Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Dolphins, Bills, Texans. That's a little harder, right? And so, and does Denver travel well? We'll see. Coach, what do you have?
I got one thing for you. I'm going to call you out being the Cowboys fan. You named every opponent they had at home and every opponent they had away except for a home game against the Commanders. That is wrong. You should have listed them. I don't care if they're a busy team to beat. That is wrong and on brand, and I'm proud of you.
He doesn't know. They might not be the Commanders, okay? He can't mention them because that might not be their name.
Well, I thought that was a second bye week. I thought that's what that meant. They commanded a. So that's a my bad, okay? But they I think they're playing at home, some Washington team. We're gonna figure it out. We'll let you guys know who that team is in a little while. But here's where I have Denver finishing. I'm taking the over on DraftKings. I have Denver finishing one game below Kansas City, making it a race for the AFC West, and they're going to finish at 10-7. Okay, I think they have a favorable home schedule. I think which is going to do great for Denver. Playing in that altitude is not easy, so they're going to have an advantage there. They do have the best Wisconsin kid ever, right? Russell Wilson, is he the best Wisconsin kid ever?
Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas.
Yeah, probably Joe Thomas, right? I don't know. I don't know. He's one rushing attempt away from being the best Wisconsin player ever. So, and Sean Payton, which welcome back to coaching. Sean Payton should be the Dallas Cowboys coach, should have always been the Dallas Cowboys coach. But here I am watching him coach in Denver again, wishing him the best so that Jerry Jones will eat what he did not do. Yeah, we'll stick with Mike McCarthy again, whatever, while Denver got Sean Payton. It makes zero sense to me. Hey, 10-7, Denver Broncos. You got a final thought, Teach, on this?
Dallas did make some other moves, though. Mike McCarthy's there, but somebody else isn't.
Somebody else isn't. That somebody else is not. Who is that somebody else? Let me see. Ezekiel Elliott. Oh, that's not who you're talking about. Amari Cooper. Oh, no. That's not who you're talking about.
The guy who fell on the sword for Mike.
Kellen Moore. Speaking of Kellen Moore, Chargers. And this may be where I think Denver has the greatest story going into it. I think the Chargers are in the weirdest place going into the season. Because I think this is the year either the Chargers have to contend or they got to do something else. Do you guys agree with that? I really think this is the year. When I started looking at it, I was like, this is a big year for the Chargers. It's a big year. And I'm going to tell you how I think the year finishes for the Chargers. Last year, they finished 10-7. And that was amidst a lot of injuries, right? Keenan Allen missed a lot of time. Williams missed a lot of time. They had some defensive injuries come out. Their quarterback played well. Herbert, who is the fourth or fifth best quarterback in the NFL, I think, behind Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. Josh Allen's probably fourth. And then I have Herbert maybe 10 places above Lamar Jackson. But that's me. Let's talk Chargers. DraftKings has them at 9.5. So really quick, 2 minutes from each of you. Biggest thought on the Chargers going into the season, and are you taking the over/under on the DraftKings 9.5? Teach, we'll start with you.
Well, I think they're going to finish 11-6. I think Austin Eckler's playing in a contract year. He was already unhappy, so I think he's going to go out and ball out. I do think Kellen Moore will call plays a little bit better in Los Angeles for the Chargers. I don't think there's as much pressure on him. I think there's a tremendous amount of pressures on head coach Brandon Staley. So he knows he has to win. But after all the injuries last year, they still finished 10-7. So I have to think that they're going to have. I think Coach said it last year. They had plumbers and electricians playing wide receiver for them. I think Herbert could take that step this year. I think the wide receivers are healthy. And I was really high on Quentin Johnson coming into the draft. The pterodactyl, I think he's a great addition to that team. I think 11-6 is probably where they need to be. And I think it's very possible that they finish 11-6.
Great prediction. What do you think, Coach?
I think they. I don't know if they even if they don't have a very, successful season for me would be making a deep playoff run. They've showed the ability to make the playoffs. But I also think the AFC is just loaded, and I don't think that there's an ability to make a deep playoff run. So no matter what they do, I don't think that they're going to have a successful season on them terms. Will they have a decent regular season? Maybe. I don't know. This could be the year. It could all fall apart. Who knows with the prima donnas nowadays? The Austin Eckler might turn into a whole series drama. Like he gets a nick on his ankle injury, and he's just like, you know what? Shut it down because it's not worth me costing myself $40 million in the offseason. Things like that happen all the time. It's happened like that before in San Diego. It seems like San Diego running backs have a history lately. Isn't there a gentleman in Denver that didn't like playing in San Diego? Melvin Gordon, like he was doing decent, and then there was somebody before that, and
I think
we talking
think-
Padres.
Yeah, I think LaDainian Townsend played in San Diego. These guys
After
played in
that.
Los Angeles, right? And so that's where we're at with the LA
Oh, yeah.
Chargers,
Oh,
right?
LA Chargers. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So used to it. But anyways, the point is I don't believe in the team. I think the quarterback's a decent quarterback. I think he's overrated at best. He might even just be mid. He could swell down. I don't think he's going to swell up. I don't think he's going to get any better than he already has. I think he's already reached his potential.
What's the record? What record do you have for him?
What record do I have him? I have him having a losing record. I have him finishing
8-9.
8-9.
Wow. Okay.
All right, let's cut this off really quick. Both of you are pretty close. Coach, you said some really questionable things in that, but I appreciate your honesty. I think some could come true. Herbert is definitely not mid. Don't understand that comment, but he does have a mid offensive coordinator, a mid head coach. So we'll see how that goes. To me, my biggest things going into the next season for the Chargers were I loved Quentin Johnson being added. I think he fits well in that wide receiver room. Give some length, and I think with the injuries to those wide receivers, he's going to be a breath of fresh air for Justin Herbert and for the offensive coordinator. Austin Eckler saga, we'll see what happens with it, right? But the guy's a legit top 5 fantasy pick every year, right? And so we'll have more on that coming up closer to the year. And then Kellen Moore, the play caller, the great Bronco, Boise State Bronco, right? The great Charger now. We'll see. Everything has to do with a horse. He was a Bronco, he's a Cowboy, and now he's a Charger. And so we'll see how it plays out. But here's how I have him playing out. DraftKings has them at 9.5. I'm going to take the under on LA finishing the season at 9-8. Here's why. You get the majority of your wins at home in the NFL and all professional sports. Listen to their home schedule. Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders, Bills, Dolphins, Lions, Ravens, Cowboys. So they are all over the top 5 NFL teams. Cowboys being number 1, Bills being number 5. I think the Dolphins may fall in there. The Lions are going to have a great year this year. We'll talk more about them in another episode. So I think their home record is not favorable. And we all know, is it really a home game for the Chargers when they play against anybody? It's not, right? So they don't have a lot of pull at home. This is going to be a really tough year for the Chargers. Their away Schedule, Broncos, Packers, Chiefs, Raiders, Vikings, Patriots, Jets, Titans, a little more favorable, but we all know traveling is hard, right? And so we'll see how it plays out. I have them finishing at 9-8 and probably missing the playoffs. I have the Chargers blowing it up next year, promoting Kellen Moore to the head coach of the LA Chargers eventually, Staley being gone. That's my LA Chargers, 9-8. So far we have Kansas City at 11-6. We have Denver at 10-7. Now we have the Chargers at 9-8. So do you guys see a pattern? You guys see a pattern? We're 11, 10, 9. Let's talk about the Raiders. Let's move on to, how would Frank say it? The Oakland Raiders. No. Las Vegas Raiders, coach. Las Vegas Raiders, coach. Biggest storylines for the Las Vegas Raiders this year. Josh McDaniels' second season. I don't trust him. Do you trust him? Teach, coach, do you trust him? No, right?
No.
Josh McDaniels' second year. Then, hey, let's get rid of our franchise quarterback, Derek Carr. Oh, good idea. Who are we going to replace him with? We got the guy, Jimmy G. Prettiest guy in football. Let's bring him to Vegas. Run all these women. Run all these casinos. Let's do that. Let's replace him with Jimmy G. All right, let's see how that works. Do we think he's going to make a difference? I don't know. Last year they finished 6-11. It was the Derek Carr blame game. Wasn't Devontae Smith. Wasn't Josh McDaniels. Wasn't horrible play calling. It wasn't any of that. It wasn't the team. It wasn't that last place defense that Las Vegas has had over the last 10 years combined. It was Derek Carr's the problem. We got to move him. We got to get rid of him. So here we go going into this season. After a 6-11 record last season, Jimmy G, Josh McDaniels. DraftKings think they're going to make an improvement. They're going to make a slight jump. DraftKings has them at 7.5. So same as last time. Teach, coach, really quick, 30 seconds. Biggest thought for them, and give me over and under on the 7.5. Teach, start with you.
Devontae Adams loved playing with Derek Carr. So what do? Is you get rid of Derek Carr. Jimmy
Makes
G
sense.
cannot stay healthy. I think this is a dumpster fire. This is the reason I think I'm elevating the other three teams in the division. I think that they're already having issues with Josh Jacobs, who's saying, hey, I'm doing this not for me, but for everybody who's coming after me. So he's holding out. I think this is a team that sells off parts like Devontae Adams, like Josh Jacobs. It's a dumpster fire, and they finish 3-13.
Wow. Hey, listen, good point on the Jacobs thing. How many teams finish 6-11 with the best running back in the NFL statistically? Right, crazy. Coach, your thoughts really quick.
My thoughts are predominantly with Jimmy Garoppolo, and that is that, Italians do come to Las Vegas and they can flourish. They can also die. So you got to be very careful when you're going down that slope. You heard it was a tumultuous situation in history in the past. Very questionable choices made. The ones that we, make fun of Zion Williams for, but praise Jimmy Garoppolo for, them type of situations. So what I will say is that, he just better be careful. But I believe that he is not going to be the one that builds casinos. He is going to be the one that perishes. I think Derek Carr was underrated there. I believe he was actually a very good quarterback there. His stats stayed the same year after year, and they were all good. They praised him one year, and then they discredited him the next year when he had the same exact stats. So to my point is that I don't think Jimmy G is going to stay healthy. I don't think he's going to be a leader of the team. I think the Raiders made a horrible decision, and I think they crash and burn for it. Am I 3-11? No, I think I'll give him 6 wins. I'll give him 6 wins. That's in my mind. I want to give him 6, but but still 6 wins is still crashing and burning again, because a year after year they're thought that this is the year they're gonna make the step. This is the year they're gonna take the step. And year after year they're gonna be in that middleman's land of not getting a top 5 pick, and they're gonna be in purgatory every single time. Why? Because they just make dumb decisions, and that what do you say, Teach? Stupid people win stupid prizes. Or we play stupid games and you win stupid prizes. They made,
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
and this is the stupid prize. They're going to win 6 games this year. What I believe.
So crazy that you two think like that, because I was looking back the last couple seasons of Jimmy G's career where he played. All of them are winning records. Every one of them. For a career, he has a winning record. He's a plus 60% win guy, right? Hasn't always had the best coaching, hasn't always had the best teams, but he's a plus 60% guy.
So is
Jimmy
Tim
G.
Tebow.
Jimmy G, right? And so, but I think worse than Jimmy G is Josh McDaniels, right? I think Josh McDaniels is a horrible, horrible, horrible head coach candidate in the NFL. I think we've already seen it once. It played out very similar to what's happening in Las Vegas right now. Very similar. Let's move pieces. I want it to be my team. Let it be my decisions, and none of it works. When he leaves, they're worse than when he came. And that's crazy, okay? But here's my prediction for the Las Vegas Raiders. I think they'll finish around 14-3. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Let's look at their schedule really quick. At home, Las Vegas Raiders. They have the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Patriots, the Jets, Packers, Vikings, Steelers, Giants. Tough home games. Away, they have the Bears, Broncos, Lions, Chiefs, Chargers, Dolphins, Colts, and Bills. It was hard for me to be this close to the DraftKings line because I found it difficult to find the 6 wins that I put them at. So I'm taking the Las Vegas Raiders under on DraftKings 6.5. Under. Podfather prediction is the Raiders finishing with a 6-11 record, and I found it hard to find the 6th win. They may finish 5-12. But I went safe. I put him at 6-11, gave him the benefit of the doubt with Jacobs being probably the best running back in football right now. Okay. Devontae Adams is still a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL right now. I don't know. I got him at 6-11. So here, just finally, really quick for you guys, the final AFC West standings will look like this: the Chiefs 11-6, the Broncos 10-7, right? The Chargers 9-8, and then down at the cellar, we're going to put the Las Vegas Raiders at 6-11. The final AFC West standings. You heard it here first. So, really quick follow up for you guys, and we're going to do this really quick. What do you think teaches the biggest story of the AFC West going into the NFL season? We talked about a bunch of them, but give me your number one biggest story.
For me, it's can the Raiders lose enough so they can guarantee Caleb Williams as the number 1 pick? Can they get to that? Can they get to that 3 or 4 win team? Because there's always going to be one team that is just completely in the basement and just burn it down. Okay, just burn it down. You know, like the desert that surrounds you. Go ahead, go after Caleb Williams. Get as much draft capital as you can for Devontae Adams. Get as much draft capital as you can for Josh Jacobs. You're not going to pay him anyway because you're a poor ownership group, even with Tom Brady.
Yeah, great take. I love that. Coach, tell me your biggest storyline from the AFC West.
I think the biggest storyline for me is the Denver Broncos. Can they? I mean, because for me, it's can they overtake the mountaintop? Because Kansas City has had it. They're gonna have it. It's gonna be a thing. Can Peyton do enough to steal first place? And I don't think it's possible this year. I think next year could be a year where they get sneaky good. They can get a pick here or there. Sean Payton, people want to play for the guy. He has a way with people, locker room. He's a phenomenal coach, and I think he's going to build a great culture there in Denver. But this year, do they have enough firepower to overtake one man?
I love that take. And looking at Denver, the one thing we have to remember outside of the QB position, all of their skill positions should be entering their prime. Williams, Judy, Sutton. They got Surtain on defense, Gregory on defense. They got a lot of their skill positions should be entering those prime years. And so, can they take that leap? That's a great, great point. Love both of your points. I'm going to go. I have to go because I think I'm going to flip mine completely from the Caleb Williams talk, and I'm going to go. Can Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes repeat as Super Bowl champions? To me, they are the best quarterback coach combo in the NFL, and I think that's always the hardest thing to beat in the NFL for anybody. We could take a look back at past years. A Hall of Fame coach and a Hall of Fame quarterback being paired together in a semi-good ownership team is a tough thing to beat. So I want to take a few minutes in the next segment. We're going to play a Would You Rather. And that's exactly what I want to do is talk about where does Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes rank on the all-time greatest quarterback coach combos ever in the NFL. Now, there were some that I kept out of this group. I'm going to go through some names. There were some that I kept out. I didn't bring in Lombardi and Bart Starr. I didn't do the Otto Graham years. I didn't do Landry and Staubach, Nolan and Bradshaw or whoever it was. Like I didn't do some of those because they're out of my time frame, right? And so why I know about it, I've seen some of their stuff. I really wanted to talk about some of those that I got a chance to watch and I've studied more. And so let's talk about that. So you guys, all I'm going to do is say this pairing versus this pairing, and you give me your answer. I'm always going to go to Teach first. So Teach, you'll give an answer. Coach, you'll give an answer. And we'll go through this really quick. The answer just needs to be the name. And we'll go through this really quick, okay? So would you rather quarterback coach combo Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow?
Andy and Pat.
Andy and Pat.
We're 3 for 3 on that one. I'm going Andy and Pat also. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Tomlin, or Big Ben?
Andy and Pat.
Andy and Pat.
We're 3 for 3 on that one. Andy and Pat. Andy and Pat, Vermeil and Warner.
Andy and Pat.
Andy and Pat.
Versus the greatest show on turf. I'm going Andy and Pat. Andy and Pat also. 3 for 3. Andy and Pat, Shula Marino.
You got to go Andy and Pat.
Andy and Pat.
Wow, we're 3 for 3 on this one too. If Shula Marino ever would have won that chip, it may have been a different discussion. But I'm going to go Andy and Pat. We're 3 for 3. Andy and Pat, Levy and Kelly. This one's just for you, Teach.
This breaks my heart. Andy and Pat. Breaks my heart, though.
Andy and Pat.
I went 3 for 3 on this one. I'm going Andy and Pat also. Andy and Pat, Shanahan Elway.
Shanahan Elway.
Andy and Pat.
I'm going Andy and Pat. I'm going to go Andy and Pat. We're 2 for 3 on this one. I love where I know where you're at on that. That one was tough.
To me, it's just that even their off years they didn't win the Super Bowl, they were still amazing. I mean, amazing team. So
I leaned Andy and Pat because it took Terrell Davis, right? And so I went Andy and Pat because the quarterback coach combo could never get it done by themselves.
Helicopter play. Elway, yeah. Shout out.
That's true. That is true. Andy and Pat, Holmgren Favre.
I'm not a big fan of embezzlement, so I'm going to go Andy and Pat.
I don't care what he did, honestly. On the football field, I'm still taking Andy and Pat.
I'm taking Andy and Pat. We're 3 for 3 on that one.
Put those in your Levi's.
Yeah, there you go. Wrangler it is. Andy and Pat or Jimmy Johnson, Troy Aikman.
Andy and Pat.
Andy and Pat.
Yeah, this one was easier than I thought it was going to be. It's Andy and Pat.
It hurts, though, right? It hurts, though.
You know, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. I mean, we had a lot to play with in Dallas, right? And so Andy and Pat versus Dungy and Manning.
Give me Tony Dungy and Peyton Manning.
Andy and Pat.
Right now, I'm going Dungy and Manning.
Longevity.
After this year, it could be different. But right now, I'm going Dungy and Manning. So we're 1 for 3 on the Andy and Pat. I knew where Coach would be, though. I didn't even have a question. Andy and Pat, Walsh and Montana.
Give me Walsh and Joe Montana, baby.
Andy and Pat.
I'm going Walsh and Montana. That's where I'm at. I think Andy and Pat are falling along this. We're getting into some of the greatest ever now. I think they're there, but they're not quite there yet. Give me Walsh and Montana. Andy and Pat or Sean Payton, Drew Brees?
Andy and Pat.
Andy and Pat.
This one's a tie for me. I can't say anything.
Gotta say it. Gotta say it.
Not a tie.
Come on.
Tie.
Right now, give me Peyton and Breeze. That's where I'm at right now. All-time leading, well, before Tom Brady. You know, Breeze and Peyton had some really great things going on. Andy and Pat, Belichick and Brady?
I hate saying this as a Bills fan. It's Belichick and Brady.
No, it's Belichick.
Brady, the greatest two to ever do it together. So Andy and Pat, to me and Teach, looks like we have them around 3 or 4 as greatest quarterback coach combos. Coach, you have them in second place. And so, hey, great game. Would you rather? Andy, Pat. Hey, listen, guys, that's going to do it for episode 31, part 2. My bad. Episode 31. Part 2, AFC West Edition. Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Oakland Raiders, baby. Las Vegas Raiders bringing up the cellar.
Where are we going next week?
Next week, we're going to go AFC North.
Okay.
This is going to be a great division. This one excites me because there's a lot of turmoil at AFC North. A lot of things that are happening right now. A lot of question marks. And we get to talk about Deshaun Watson. So anytime we get to talk about Deshaun Watson in the NFL, it's going to be good because I don't like the guy. We'll see how it plays out. I don't believe in him, but you may have a different opinion. Closing comments from you, Teach, anything?
Very proud of my 2 compatriots again in our victorious reign as second place in the golf tournament, and very proud of Coach Frank LaFada, all the work he did with the kids at Charlotte Courthouse, finishing second place, losing in a heartbreaker walk-off win for the other team, but still a hell of a job you guys did at the golf tournament, hell of a job you've done all season, Coach.
I'll be honest, this episode was really really thought out. A lot of information. Way to go, Podfather, and the research and everything. As you guys know, we've had golf tournament this week. I've had tournaments in baseball. It's been a crazy week. I've had a lot going on for me, so you guys kind of carried the load this week. I appreciate it. There was a lot going on. And it was a really good episode. I just appreciate both you guys. Happy Father's Day, because we'll next time we air, we won't be talking about that. I know you guys are amazing dads. We're quite a trio. We bounce off each other. We work with each other. And it shows and it helps. And I'm thankful for you guys if I think about how Father's Day and stuff like that. So that's my closing statement.
Hey, here it is, guys. We're the best 3 for 3 there is. All right. That's what I can promise you. We're the best 3 for 3 there is. Appreciate you, Coach, buying my kids a hot dog yesterday on the baseball field. Appreciate you, Teach, carrying us on the golf tournament. We finished second, but we really rode the coattails of Teach, the great golfer. That's where it is. We'll call you Teach Mickelson from now on.
Okay.
Wow.
Shout out, Dad, against retired Sergeant Major Paul Nelson.
Yes,
for
appreciate you.
Sponsoring the team,
Yes.
Scottish Rite tournament. You know, it was great. We had a great time with it. And looking forward to repeating. And next year we're coming for first place, baby.
We are coming for first place next year. This is 3 for 3, episode 31, part 2. Tune in next week. 32 coming at you. We're out.